On the Wednesday, Jesus was at table at the house of a man called Simon the leper. A woman came in with a jar of very expensive perfume. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on Jesus. "Why this waste?" said some of those present. "That could have been sold and the money given to the poor." But Jesus rebuked them. "Leave her alone. Why are you bothering her? She's done a beautiful thing for me. You can help the poor any time you want, but you will not always have me. She poured perfume on me to anoint my body for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever this gospel is told, she will be remembered." And it was this incident that prompted Judas to go to the chief priests and offer to betray Jesus to them. And they were delighted and promised to give him money. The next day was Thursday. On the day of unleavened bread, it was the Passover, and Jesus was asked, "How shall we make preparations?" "Go into the city and meet a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him, and he'll show you the upper room where you should make preparations." And so it was that Jesus was at table with his disciples and instituted what we now call the Last Supper. After the supper, he said to them, "You will all fall away. It's written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered." Peter said, "Even if everyone else falls away, I never will." And they all asserted the same. "I tell you the truth," Jesus answered. "Before the cock crows tonight, you will disown me." They went to the garden at Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." And he took Peter and James and John a little further with him, and he began to be very distressed about what would happen. "Father," he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, if you will, but not what I will, but what you will." Coming back, he found them asleep again, and went away to pray the same words. But on the return, the third time, he said, "Enough. Rise, for my betrayer is upon us." And Judas, the disciple who'd offered to betray him, appeared with a crowd armed with swords and clubs. And he'd said to them, "The man I kiss is the man." So going up to Jesus, he kissed him. And the men seized Jesus and arrested him. "Am I leading a rebellion," said Jesus, "that you've come out to capture me with swords and clubs?" But everyone deserted Jesus and fled.
Lord, we all fall away like your friends on that day when the shepherd was struck. They were scattered, and they left you alone, facing death on your own, with them all having fled when it mattered. We deny that we'll fail, yet you know we are frail. Ere the cock crows each day, we betray you. Satan sifts us like wheat, yet his final defeat was achieved as they took you to slay you. You were in deep distress, yet they slept while you wrestled in prayer that your cup would be taken. Yet your will was not done, but your Father's in heaven, that the kingdoms of hell might be shaken. Lord, you warned them and said that you soon would be dead. This came true as you faced crucifixion. In the dark of that hour, who could see that God's power would break forth in his Son's resurrection?
They took Jesus to the high priest, and all the priests and elders and teachers of the law gathered together. And Peter followed at a distance into the courtyard. They were looking for some way to convict Jesus, evidence against him so he could be put to death. But they didn't find any. Many people testified against him, but their testimony was false, and it didn't agree with other testimonies. Some said, "We've heard this man say, 'I will destroy this man-made temple and build another not made with hands in 3 days.' But even then the reports didn't agree with each other. So finally the high priest said to Jesus, 'What is this that they're saying?' And Jesus said nothing in reply. 'Tell us,' said the high priest, 'are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?' 'I am,' said Jesus, 'and you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven.' The high priest tore his robes. 'Why do we need any more witnesses?' he said. 'You've heard the blasphemy.' They condemned him as worthy of death. And then some began to spit at him, and they blindfolded him and hit him and said, 'Prophesy, tell us which one hit you.'
We
Meanwhile, Peter was below in the courtyard, warming himself. One of the servants came by. She said, "You were with that Nazarene." Peter denied it. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. He went out into the entrance. But the girls said to others, "This fellow is one of them." And so again, Peter denied it. And a little while later, these bystanders said to Peter, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." And Peter began to call down curses upon himself and swear, "I don't know the man that you're talking about." And the cock crowed, and Peter remembered the words of Jesus, and he broke down and wept bitterly.
Lord, we all fall away like your friends on that day when the shepherd was struck. They were scattered and they left you alone, facing death on your own, with them all having fled when it mattered. We deny that we'll fail, yet you know we are frail. Ere the cock crows each day, we betray you. Satan sifts us like wheat, yet his final defeat was achieved as they took you to slay you. You were in deep distress, yet they slept while you wrestled in prayer that your cup would be taken. Yet your will was not done, but your Father's in heaven, that the kingdoms of hell might be shaken. Lord, you warned them and said that you soon would be dead. This came true as you faced crucifixion. In the dark of that hour, who could see that God's power would break forth in his Son's resurrection?